One of our clients has a new section of her business, that a new service that she's offering. And she has been entrenched in learning this new service and learning more and learning more and learning more. And as an outsider looking in, of course, we know that she is not only ready, she's beyond ready to just jump in and start doing. But there are some people, and let us know if you relate to this. There are some people who really feel like they need to know more, or even said another way, they need to know everything before actually taking action. Like, it's not just about knowing what the next step is. They want to see all the steps and understand the whole picture, all the pieces to the puzzle before they put the first couple pieces together.
Yeah.
Right? Would you say that you fall into that category?
Definitely. I definitely fall into that. I want to have everything kind of all the ducks in a row before I get started. And I know a lot of people that are like that. And generally we don't get started that quickly on things. And a lot of times we don't ever get started.
Yeah, sometimes
because
not at all.
we feel like there has to be one more step that needs to be completed before you can do that. And if that doesn't happen, then, well, why would I start?
Yeah. And so there's this desire, I think, that's behind that to either get it right, possibly get it perfect.
Yep.
Would you agree?
Yep.
And then, but I also want you to identify what the fear is behind that as well, right? So there's this desire to understand it all, to know it all, to get it right, to get it perfect.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Okay, tell me.
I will answer this question as honestly as I can. The fact is, I don't necessarily really want it to start. I just like the research and getting it all in place and all that. And I think that's why it's so important to be teamed up with somebody in a partnership or in some type of arrangement where you have somebody does a lot of the research and then somebody does the action part of it.
The implementation.
Because if you're waiting for that person who is going to just drag their feet and want to know every last bit of information before taking that next step, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so there has to be some milestones that are set up that when they hit that milestone, that the person who's more of the action taker would be taking it from there.
Okay. All right, good. So that's an interesting way of looking at things. I never really saw that perspective, and I should have known that because I understand a lot about you and how you're driven internally. And I know that you tend to be on the more intellectual side. You love the research part. I'm sort of middle of the road. There are some areas where I like to know a lot, and there are other areas where I just jump in and say, we'll figure it out as we go along.
Right.
I'm a little bit more likely to jump in and figure it out as we go along, but not extreme. Like, we have a client who is so about jumping in that
It's impressive.
it is beyond impressive.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of courage, right? And by the way, my favorite definition of courage I've ever heard was one that I learned in landmark education, which is courage is not about the absence of fear. It's about taking action in the face of fear, right? And I think of that client as someone who just, when he sees a vision, he just gets into action and does not let anything hold him back. So does that mean he might make some more mistakes along the way? Sure. But then he corrects the mistake and he moves forward, and then he corrects and he moves forward. So I think if we
and I think that is one of the challenges for people who like to have all the information before they get started, is that they don't want to make a mistake. And it's like, if they make a mistake, then it's considered wrong or a failure, and so that's what keeps many people, including myself, from taking the action that I probably should.
Yeah. So
into helping somebody, especially if you're in a management or leadership role, to really allow that person to know, like, tell them, listen, we are hoping that there are going to be some mistakes here. Be okay with that. Be open for it and be looking for it, because with mistakes, and I think a lot of it too is that mistakes for me are just a waste of time. Like, yeah. I'm just like, if I have to take a couple steps back, then that just takes more time than actually doing it. But
you're learning along the way.
Right.
And you know that for everything that we've ever jumped into and taken on, including this business, by the way, right?
Right.
When we started this business, we started before we were ready, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Like, we jumped in and we bootstrapped it and we just worked our tails off. So yeah, did that create some inefficiencies? Absolutely. But you think about it, the longer we waited, you're never going to have all the pieces, and they're never going to fall exactly the way you think they are anyway.